Welcome back to Hashtag Single with Jeanette Bonner. I am not a relationship expert or sex therapist. I'm just a regular New York City woman navigating the world as a single, independent feminist. Hashtag Single is about having honest conversations with other singles in today's device-obsessed culture. So I hope you'll join me on this interesting, challenging, and complex journey as we navigate the ins and outs of singledom.
Welcome back to Hashtag Single. It's me, your host, Jeanette. It's another beautiful one-on-one episode with some new friends I have. Tati and Jeff are here to talk about their single lives and how amazing they are as human beings. So I'm so excited to have you both today. Tati, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, I'm crying. How are you?
Not yet. That's for later. And our lovely voice of the patriarchy is Jeff. Jeff, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Jeff and Tati do not know each other. So in previous episodes, sometimes people bring their friends, or sometimes I put strangers together, and these two lovely human beings have agreed to talk about their very vulnerable dating lives, even though they've never met in person and they live on opposite coasts. So it's going to be grand.
Get ready, Jeff. Get ready.
Let's do it. I'm looking forward to it, actually.
Awesome. Super. So, Jeff, you know the rules. Sit back and take a listen. And at some point, we'll check in with you and just see what you have to say on the whole matter.
Sounds good to me.
All right, Tati.
Yes.
Let's get going.
Can't wait.
Just for some context, guys, Tati and I are both in the filmmaking industry. We met. She's in LA. I'm in New York. So we connected in this virtual world of COVID in a female filmmakers matchmaking group.
But no longer single.
I know, right? Can you imagine? Like, that would be next level. You're like, we make movies and love. Yeah. I'm not against it. But so that's how we know each other. But we've never really had like a personal conversation like this. So I'm started to get to know you a little better on a different level. So tell me where you're at in your single life at present. What brought you here to this moment?
Disgusting. Okay.
It's starting off so well. I love it.
It's such a tragedy. Okay. I feel like an interesting way to describe like my dating history is I was homeschooled from pre-K to college. So
whoa, to college.
Yeah, I started college when I was 14.
Oh my God.
Like a
okay.
mutant. Like a true mutant.
Or so genius. Or savant.
No. Just a loser. An outcasted loser. Really fun. So I really didn't have a lot of dating history. I think I had like my first kiss when I was almost 18.
Okay.
And then I moved to LA at 21. So I had a long-term boyfriend at that point. And then after that, I came here and I discovered dating apps. And it was like a slutty world opened up to me. And I was like, there's all these human dudes and they all want to date me. Not even in like a romantic, beautiful way, in like a terrible, tragic way.
Oh, yeah. In like a gross, skeevy way.
In just the worst kinds of way. So I've obviously had like, dips into serious relationships and stuff since then, but I've just been so disappointed. So let down by I guess the world. I'm not even gonna say dating apps. I feel like people give a bad rep to dating apps, but they're just humans you're meeting them in a different way. So they can suck no matter where you meet them. It's just easier to meet them that way.
Yeah, that's very true. So I want to backtrack a little bit. Please. So you went to school or college at 14, which is insane.
Yeah.
And was everyone at that college like of age, like 18 and older?
Well, they actually were older than that because it was a community college. So most of them, I mean, there were definitely 18, 20-year-olds, but a lot of them were like in their 60s. And 40s. And either way, I mean, there were so many guys I had crushes on. And the moment they found out I was 14, like there was like their body size cutout into the wall where they jumped through to get away from me. Like,
well, at least I did. I mean, this is some like Mrs. Fletcher shit right here. Like that's what I was just thinking. Like you're in this world of people have freedom for their first time in their life and independence. I mean, it's community college. So not as much as like a college where you go and stay away for 4 years, but still, then you meet someone you're not fully matured at 14, physically or mentally or sexually or emotionally.
It was so gross too. It was embarrassing. Yes.
Did you date anyone during that time, or like that's a really astonishing socialization?
No, absolutely not. I started doing musical theater around that time as well. So there was lots of boys that I had crushes on, but they were gay. So that didn't go anywhere. So I didn't have my first boyfriend until I was about 18.
But was there anyone like your age there at all?
At the school, no.
Yeah.
There was no dual enrolled kids. Because the reason why, because I was homeschooled, so I could do both. So there was nobody else that was my age in the whole campus, on multiple campuses. It was just me.
Because 14 is the time. Let's give that perspective. 14 is like, for me, I think 8th grade, right? And 7th grade was my first kiss, so 13, right? So right around the time that you're looking to have your first kiss with another awkward teenager, you're in an environment where no one is available to you.
Yes, that's exactly what it felt like. I was just alone in this sea. And I don't know how you were when you were 14. I would definitely be curious to know how Jeff was at 14, but I was just like a mangle of limbs. Like I was just I had no confidence, so my posture was even worse, which made my arms somehow look longer. Like I just looked like a scrawny orangutan, and all I wanted was love, like so badly. So I don't know how you were, but I was awkward and ugly.
I think most people in the world would not say that their 14-year-old self was their best self.
They are now. Have you seen 14-year-olds now? They're so hot, and but that's like. Say.
Listen, that's a whole nother podcast. It's like twisted how there's all these like 90s throwbacks memes on like TikTok and Instagram and stuff. It was like, this is how I danced when I was 15. And like we did the Macarena, right?
The electric slide.
And then you're like, you see these 15-year-olds on TikToks like doing these dances to hip hop and Cardi B and shit. And they're all like grinding and getting, and then you're like, what? How did you...
How did
the boys learn to dance that way? I wish you could see how the boys danced when I was 15.
They didn't. I mean, in my memory, they literally didn't.
There's a lot of swaying back and forth. Yeah. Exactly. So that's really interesting to me, just that like gap in your socialization of like coming into your sexual age is sort of absent, for lack of a better term.
No, but I mean, that's the accurate term for sure.
And then you got your first kiss at 18. Were you at the same school?
Was I? No, I think I went to a different school, but I met he ended up being my boyfriend of almost 4 years. He was my cousin's best friend, which is, I didn't even...
I was like, cousin? No, okay.
Oh my gosh, I'm from Florida, but I'm not that bad.
I just had a moment where you were right. Yes, my brain just froze for a second.
No.
So it's not someone you met in school.
No.
And this person ended up being your first kiss and your first boyfriend, and it was a long-term relationship.
Yes. We ended up living together. We got a cat together. Yeah, it was very serious.
So you went from like 0 to 60.
Yeah, and I really thought that we were going to get married. Like that was like a thing that like we planned out baby names.
Oh, girl.
Yes. Oh. No. I also thought that like you had to, like at that point, like, all right, I made this decision. I guess we're getting married now. Okay.
Because of the length of the time you were with him, or because he was like your first?
All of that. Like I really, this is an interesting conversation. I wonder how you felt growing up, but I really wanted to be a virgin when I got married. That was like a very, very prominent morality thing for me. I don't feel that way anymore, and I honestly couldn't if I wanted to. But that was very important to me when I was young. So the fact that like we'd had sex made me feel like, oh, well, I mean, this should pretty much be it. We'll call it a day. That'll be fine.
Where do you think that came from?
Well, interestingly enough, so my mom had always told me that she was a virgin when she got married, which is not true.
Shit! Plot twist!
Yeah, actually, I had a comedy bit about that because I found out very late in life that my mom, in fact, was not.
That's so sneaky.
It was, well, I mean, I just think, she's a more personal person in that way. I don't even think she was doing it to, like, manipulate us or anything. She just wanted us to know that it was special. It was special for her. But I really started putting the pieces together because her and my dad dated 8 years before getting married.
Whoa.
And he's a rock musician. So, like, that's no way.
So to this day, does she still claim that she was a virgin for 8 years?
No. She's opened up. She's been honest. I had like a real serious talk with her.
Holding on to that story. This is my truth. I'm sticking to it.
Well, I don't think she realized that, like, and we talked about it, the damage that it did, because I always just felt like I couldn't live up to this standard. And it's like, what's the point of being in a relationship that doesn't make you happy? Or, like, you learn from all these different relationships if you feel like you're boxed in by this concept of, oh, I have to have a certain number. Like, I still think about that, and I wonder, I know it's different for men, but I'd be curious, like, what's your number? What's your notches on the belt? But that really bothered me growing up, and that's been something that was harder for me to get past.
That's like very subliminal, subtextual shaming.
Yes.
Without it being like overt. Because a lot of people receive shaming from, we had a whole episode on this one, like, you think that we get like shaming from society, but it turns out that most of our shaming as women, as single women, comes from our immediate circle, and moreover, mostly comes from the women in our immediate circle. And like from that, not even when I'm saying immediate circle, I don't mean like friends. I'm talking about like older family members, like aunts, grandmas, mothers, who are like, why are you single? Maybe you're too fat, like, what's wrong with you? Like, all of that language of like, how come it hasn't happened for you? Like, comes from
hogwash.
People, like, right. And it comes from people who think they want the best for us and they mean well for us, and don't realize like the negative implications of that language, right? Or like the message that you're sending your kids when you're saying subtle things like that.
I do wonder where, like, of course, at our generation, it comes from them. But it's like, what happened for their generation for them to feel like that? Like, my grandmother has a really interesting point of view on relationships. She thinks that men should give you stuff. But she does. She thinks they should give you things. But her reasoning is because if you're going to be, I'll do the accent. If you're going to be sleeping with a man and he leaves you, you need something to take care of yourself, because otherwise you're left with nothing. But it's like a genuine thing. Yes.
First of all, is she from Brooklyn?
She's absolutely from Brooklyn. She's from Yonkers.
Oh, even better. And
I
she's
love
also, she's got her priorities straight. Like, it's fucking
she
amazing.
does. But it's interesting because, like, I've never been, I don't even want to, like, shit on materialism or whatever, because to each their own on, like, gift giving and love languages. But I just have never cared for presents or expensive gifts. But in her point of view, it's like, when somebody leaves you, because that happens, you think about this time period where, like, if you weren't married at 22, you were a spinster. Right. That is true. You were a spinster. You were almost worthless. And if you had sex before then, no one would want to marry you. So if you weren't someone's mistress who was getting taken care of, where did you fit in society? You didn't get jobs. You didn't have careers.
Right.
So that's where, like, all of this shame, although now it's more from I feel from the maternal sides and these things, it was all put onto them by society's standards, because what else were you going to do? If you didn't get married and have a husband to take care of you, you were basically on the street, or you lived with your family until you were dead.
Right. And she's not wrong, because a lot of people got married because they were, quote unquote, supposed to. Mm-hmm. I think we're talking like 40s, 50s, right? So,
yeah.
And then men realized that they were like in these marriages that they didn't want to be in, and they divorced their wives. But you're right, the wives didn't have jobs, didn't have any access to the bank accounts. They didn't have financial freedom. They often didn't have college educations.
Exactly.
So they were literally left with nothing but the children. And there's like, a huge wave of like men leaving their wives for mistresses and stuff like that around mid-century, where people realized that like divorce was less stigmatized, but the society had not caught up properly to allow women to be safe in divorce.
I can definitely see that happening. And then I also feel like with religion trying to teach abstinence, that when a woman was divorced, even though like a man could be divorced, he's obviously had sex with his wife and whatever, and that doesn't diminish his worth, but a woman has already been used and worn.
Yes, right, exactly.
So already it's like your chances of getting another husband are far less statistically likely than a man because you're used. You're a worn shoe. I saw this one video, and it stuck with me forever. It's by some religious group, and it was showing a white tennis sneaker. And it was like, would you like to give someone this sneaker? Or would you like to give someone this sneaker? And the other sneaker had like been put through a bulldozer. It's like shredded to shreds. And you're like...
Wait, and that was about abstinence?
Yeah, it was about like, well, wouldn't you want to give your partner a shiny new shoe? Or do you want to give it a beaten, battered down vagina?
Oh my God.
Life is hard.
Oh my gosh. I can't even begin to pick that apart.
Yeah,
so
it's
we
disgusting.
Won't.
So we won't.
Going back to that, like we have to like imagine what then did your grandmother say to your mother when she was growing up and when she was dating and coming of age. You know, we don't know.
It's so interesting too, because I feel like at that time, because I'm very close with both of them, that it sounds like my grandmother honestly didn't talk to my mother about anything. And I know a lot of people from that age, like my mother's age, who their parents like didn't tell them about periods, didn't tell them about
Surprise!
sex. Yeah, honestly, some of the biggest, worst, most scary surprises. But I've heard it so many times from her friends and my aunts. I'm like, oh wow, so just no one communicated that. So I just honestly wonder what was going on in their lives where they felt like sex became a secret from their parents, and then that internalized shame because it's a secret. So you know,
yeah, that's crazy. So all of that is like trickle down into your life, and obviously we're as women are in a better place of open communication and independence and freedom and access to information, but we're still influenced obviously by the people that raised us and the immediate people in our lives. So I think that's really interesting that although she was trying to set you up for, you know, abstinence, it ended up making like giving you trauma a little bit, or like misguided you to like, what if you had gotten married to this person at, how old were you, 22?
21 is when we
21.
broke up. Just turned 21.
Yeah.
I can't imagine. I think about that often where I'm like, that was really the trajectory that both me and him were on. So that easily could have been my future. And just really, well, also, my parents are divorced and they had a rather unhealthy relationship. And I know a lot of people think that they should like stay together for the children. You know, that's like a really common sure. Misconception in my opinion, because I think they're way better as divorced parents than they ever were together. But watching their relationship showed me what my relationships, what I thought they should look like. So people not getting along, not communicating, having like non-passionate, non-excited to see each other. I mean, it was a tougher situation. So I think watching them as friends now has been way more healthy and beneficial for me. But that whole first relationship I had was tainted with a lot of poor recognizing and mirroring from my parents' relationship.
Yeah. And I'm curious to know, like, so when you ended it with this guy who you really thought you were going to be married, like, what were your 20s like? Was that sort of a really tough time for you to process that, like, the person you thought was the one was not going to be your future?
You know what? Surprisingly, it wasn't as tough as I thought it was going to be. I think because I moved to Los Angeles, so there was a lot of stuff going on, and then I started dating a bunch, which I think was something I was like leaning towards for a long time that I wanted to do, and I didn't know how to get out of the relationship unless I moved. So I don't know, like, obviously it was very, I guess, strange to not have this person, but also it was really helpful in a tragic way that he freaked out really badly when we broke up. So it made it a lot easier to put some distance, because he became which we're all fine now. Like, we have a decent friendship and I want nothing but good things for him. But at the time he was very aggressive and very mean, and he just couldn't accept the breakup. So it made it easier for me.
Did you break up with him or he broke up with you?
At the time, I had thought that it was a mutual breakup because he was moving to Michigan and I was moving to LA. But to be fair, he had brought up an awful lot about, like, well, what if we try to do long distance? And I was like, it's a thought. Yeah, like, oh, you're bringing it up, and I respect you bringing that up. I mean, that is something to ponder. But, like, what if we just stop dating? And if it's, like, meant to be, we'll find our way back to each other.
I just picture this like a Claritin commercial. Like suddenly, like the veil is lifted and you can see in Technicolor again. Like you're just like LA is before you, and there's like like your freedom is
so
on the other side of the lake.
Yeah, that's what it felt like. Where I finally didn't even realize. I remember my mom pointed this out. She's very observant. Where I was trying to find an anniversary card for him. I think it was like our 3 or 4 year or whatever. And I was like, all these cards suck. And my mom was like, do all the cards suck, sweetie? Or are you just not happy?
Oh, shit, Mom. Oh, shit. Nailed it in the store.
She's such a scary Sagittarius. I love her so much. She's such a dagger. So she was right, though. So at that point, I know that he was trying to cling to this. And I was like, I see light. I see potential of me not being trapped in a borderline abusive relationship. So I want to take that opportunity. So yeah, so that made it easier though, because it's always easier, and in such a weird way, maybe that's not true, when the other person is really showing some terrible colors, for you to be like, wow, okay, this was a good choice for me.
Right. Ugh. Easy choice. When I broke up with my ex, like I always say I did it for very logical reasons, but I was still very emotionally attached to him. And so for there was like a 2-year aftermath after the relationship ended, where it was like, but I still love you, but I still love you. Okay, let's try to make it work again. Okay, it's not working, but I still love you, but I still love you. Just like, just torture, where I needed my strong self to step in and be like, literally, this is not going to ever work in the future, and there's a better life for you going forward. But it was really hard for both of us to detach, because it's, if you have that kind of bond, it's literally potentially like losing your best friend.
Totally.
And there was part of me that was like, hey, we can still hang out. And
I
literally believed that we could still be best friends, but not be dating. I was just, super naive, because I was like, I like you as a human being. I just don't want us to be together. So let's just go to concerts together and stuff. And
totally.
Poor thing, he was so confused, and as well he should have been. He was just like, I don't understand. We're just hanging out, but I'm not allowed to touch you. Okay. And I was like, yeah, I don't understand why that's hard. It was so mean.
Oh man,
so mean.
I get it though.
So cruel.
No,
So
I mean,
cruel.
but you weren't doing it intentionally, and I'm sure you learned from that experience of being like, okay, well that didn't work.
Now I have some perspective on how insane I really was, just a separation of intelligence versus emotions, and intelligently it made sense. I was like, I've spent 5 years with this person.
Wow.
Why can't I continue to hang out with him and talk with him all the time? That makes sense. We like each other as people, and how, I don't know why I really thought that we could do that and fully separate our emotions. Or maybe it was just wishful thinking. I have no idea. But, I do feel bad for the sort of emotional turmoil I put both of us through, because while I do believe that exes can be friends afterwards, there has to be a
grieving period.
Yeah, transitional period where you go away from each other and then come back. It's not like the next weekend.
Yeah, no, there has to be some level of basically, I feel like detoxing from each other's chemicals. And literally, I mean, but your chemistry together, I think you need to seriously detox and gain some perspective, and also because you kind of start commingling with somebody and meshing with them.
Yeah.
So you need to find out who you are again by yourself, so that you can be friends together and not fall into the exact same habit.
Right. How do you differentiate well, this is how we were when we were dating, except at this point I would kiss you. But
Oof.
This is how, it's super confusing. I don't, I feel terrible that it was my bad call.
But you take responsibility. That's amazing.
We've both grown from it. But, Yeah. Anyway, enough about me. Let's get back to you.
Hi. I love hearing about it now.
I didn't mean to take over your episode. So, okay. So you come back to, you're newly in LA. You're 22. And you said at that point you started using dating apps?
At that point, I dated somebody who was twice my age. I was 21 at the time. And he was a director that I had met. And I was really, this is one of the worst relationships of my life, truly. Because I was easy prey for someone who was at a more prominent place in his life.
It's like very close to a Me Too story.
Yeah. I mean, he did basically end up using business as a way to, like, control me. As in, like, connections and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
But everything even would be like, you don't know how to do this. So
oh, dear.
I'll tell you how to make someone happy. And it was just very toxic and gaslighty.
How long did that relationship go on for?
I think that actually, I mean, it feels like years because of the trauma. But I think it was only a 6-month relationship.
Okay. Yeah. But, I mean, still, like, there could have been so many repercussions. Like, he could have blacklisted you from people in the industry. You could have left your career and not wanted to become a director after that.
Totally. I mean, he did blacklist me from his community, but I realized that I was like, I'd rather burn these bridges than have a bridge connected to you.
Good for you. Good for you.
So it was very difficult for me to sever those ties, but I'm still very grateful that I did.
Yeah, good for you. I am too.
Yeah,
that's like, I mean, that's the definition of Me Too. First of all, you're in LA. Like, he's a powerful, established male director, and he's using that to almost bully you into staying with him.
Like, he didn't want me to work with other cinematographers, other directors, because he's like, well, I'll just do it all for you. Wouldn't that be easier if I just did it all for you? So don't even worry about that audition. Don't go there. Like, don't do that because I'll just do it for you. Or then would diminish my work. Like, I do a lot of nude art modeling. I model for painters. It's just, that's something I love doing. And he started saying that I was a pornographer, that I was a porn actor because of this. I was like, wait, but you liked these images before we started dating. But now the idea that I'm taking pictures with photographers or whatever, now I'm a slut.
Ugh,
which I'm not
garbage human.
God, he really, I mean, honestly, I truly can't stand this person. I get so scared if I'm in his side of town. He's the only person that I'm truly like scared of.
Wow.
So yeah, that was terrible. So there was that. Then after that went the roundabout of Tinder. What
Girl,
a time to be alive.
Wait, hold on. So, in summary, you you start your sexual socialization and coming of age with people that are 10 to 20 years older than you. Your second situation is a long-term relationship for 4 years. And then your third experience with love and sex is with a controlling, power-hungry, 20 years older man in the industry. So, and then you joined Tinder?
I raged. Then I raged.
Still, I mean, I understand raging, but I feel bad that that's all you had in preparation for Tinder.
Oh, yeah, me too. Well, also, the crazy thing is most people, they dated sometimes in middle school and high school. They really started kind of, I don't know, understanding that.
I mean.
Exactly. So for me, most of my dating experience, and I've had a lot at this point, I've really made up for lost time, has been done through the apps. Most of my boyfriends, most of my dating, 95% is all through the apps. So that's most of my experience, where I feel like most people, it would probably be the inverse, or at least people in my age range.
That's wild. But this is also the new generation. I think about this all the time. They are not having a standard middle school, high school experience of having a crush and falling in love. I mean, they might be,
Aww.
but they're also having access to porn, having incorrect understandings of what women look like from the internet. And then they join apps. It's if app dating was my first dating experience, I would be a mess as a human.
Absolutely. All I can hope for, though, is that because I feel like app dating, technology doesn't go away. I just hope that they improve.
Yeah, of course.
Maybe if dumb idiot boys, I mean this with love, like do get on apps earlier and they like learn through failure of like, oh, this isn't how you get someone's attention, or this isn't how you can actually get a date or get someone to like you. Maybe when they're in their 20s or their 30s, they'll have any concept, because I match with guys in their late 30s who will send me like a wave emoji or will be like, sup. I'm like, you're in your late 30s.
There's no excuse for this behavior.
Oh my God. How could you not? Like, they'll say some of the craziest shit or just really have no, oh my God, so bad. So that is my one hope, because I feel you. I wish it wasn't this way for youth, but maybe we'll evolve, and women yonder will not have to deal with what we are currently dealing with, which is horseshit. So that's what I'm hoping for.
Please tell me you're on other apps besides Tinder, though.
I'm on Bumble as well.
Okay.
I didn't like Hinge because I felt like it was actually more work for me to do to get the exact same freaking responses from dudes, which are like, cool, nice, chill. What are you up to? I'm like, I'll kill myself. Like, I will throw myself into a river.
It is, in general, I feel like it is a lot of work on women's behalf.
Yeah.
To like lead the conversation. I feel like 90% of my interactions start with them saying, hey, how are you? Or just liking the photo. So, and then it's up to me to say something interesting. Otherwise, we'll get caught in a, how was your day? Good. How was your day, loop? You know? Yeah.
I'm having like PTSD from these conversations. I'm like,
yeah,
I'm gonna lose my mind.
Like, it sounds ridiculous, but I can say that with experience. So having these conversations on this podcast, and my experience too, I don't know if it's because women are better communicators, or everyone's like, oh, well, men are shy and they don't know how to talk to women. People say that all the time, but I don't know what that is. It's like, I just think it's a fucking general laziness.
I think it's like, here's my thought on it, and I'm also very curious to know what Jeff thinks about it. I think it is an allowed laziness where it's like, it's not that I think they're intrinsically lazy, but I think that we will end up, because we perceivably want it more, or we comprehend that it needs to be done, so we will take over for them. There's never like a lack of someone who will be like, oh, hey, my day's been great. I just walked the dog. I have a Pomeranian. Anyway, how's your day? Like, we will pick up the slack so so there's no reason for them to be like, I guess I need to evolve. Otherwise, I'm never going to go on a date. I'm never going to meet somebody. I'm never going to have sex again. Whatever it is that their priorities are. Another question I'm so interested to ask Jeff about is, I feel like on certain apps, like Tinder, for example, because there's always a big debate about like who should message first or whatever. Women never message first. Most guys that I message on Tinder will not respond or will not actually meet me. But almost 100% of guys who will message me first actually take the initiative and we will go on a date. Doesn't mean anything else will happen. But I just think it's like an interesting, is it because if it's in their power, then they're more likely to follow through? Or what is the stigma if I'm approaching you first of why it tends to not go anywhere? Because I honestly can't remember one person that I've messaged first where we've actually ended up going on a date.
I have had that experience as well.
Interesting.
And it doesn't prevent me to continue to message people, because I would prefer to have conversations than like your photo. But then I've come to peace with it, because I'm just like, if some guy's put off or offended or not turned on by me messaging him first, then that's not my person in the first place. You know what I mean? Like, that's it ain't gonna work out for us.
I just get so annoyed to see, like, because you'll notice on different guys' profiles, like, obviously we all get frustrated with certain tropes or certain things that are happening, but you'll see people be like, yeah, it'd be real great if a girl messaged me first. Like, they'll have that in their profile. I'm like, buddy, I would, and I do, and look at it go nowhere because of a societal pressure or something.
Do you know what my favorite is? I don't check this app much. Text me.
Yeah, DM me on Instagram where I won't see your message because we're not friends. And I'm not going to follow you, good sir, because I don't know and don't care about you. So get that. Oh, it's good to know that's everywhere. It's good to know it's in New York as well. It's not just an LA thing.
Oh, yeah. No, it's pervasive.
Disgusting.
In fact. Yeah.
A big one for men, I think, will be to already deprecate the experience. To be like, okay, this is a really common profile thing I see where we'll be like, we'll tell people we met at the grocery store. And I'm like, interesting. So you're already telling me you're ashamed of this process. So you won't take me seriously. And this is sad because it really is a perspective thing. Like, you can be open to many magical, beautiful things in the world and you will find beauty. If you already go into something thinking that this person is less than because I met them on the internet and it wasn't A, B, or C the way I wanted it to, you will already perceive them differently. So I know if you have that on your profile, you already look at me as less of a person. One.
Well done. Yes, that is 100% true. And I have also seen that as well. Or like, just joined, can't wait to get off this thing. Or like apologizing for being on the app. But I'm like, but I'm on the app too. Like, you know what I mean?
It's such a crazy concept that we are so embarrassed to be lonely, but almost everyone is lonely. Almost everyone wants a partner. It's not just a female thing. It's absolutely a male thing. It is a human want to be loved, to be understood, to be physically touched, to have sex.
I think it just comes down to ego. Mm-hmm. It's just sort of like there's something innate about, well, I'm so cool, I shouldn't have to be here. Like,
whoa, yes.
Yeah. Like, or I should be able to meet people in real life. So, but other people are being annoying, so I'm forced to be here. But I definitely, this is like a, option D for me kind of thing.
Oh, that energy is so strong.
Yeah.
And I wonder too, because another, I guess, trope in general is just that men's profiles are far less enticing. And I think it's because men, there was a while where I was actually trying to open up a business where I would help guys with their profiles, like take pictures for them, work on their bios, like help them with their stats. Because most men that I know, and I've done this for a few men, they don't ask their friends because they're embarrassed.
Yes.
They don't, they're like, oh no, but all their friends have dating apps too. Like, almost no one is immune from this. So,
Right.
So they end up with pictures like shots taken below in like a spooky way or blurry because they took it while they were walking because they're too embarrassed to take a picture of themselves.
Yes.
Whereas women will get together, we'll do a photo shoot. I mean, me and my best friend, I'll be like, which picture is too thirsty? Which picture, like, well, look at the whole piece as the aesthetic. What are we feeling? What is the vibe? Like, we do all this, and then men will just schlock together a profile, and us women will be like, oh, bravo, you exist. Well, I guess we'll take it, because that's all of them.
Can I tell you something funny? I
Yes.
have a date this afternoon. I'm getting coffee with someone, and I was showing it to my friend Jessica. And I just realized when I showed it to her, she was like, show me another picture. And I was like, his photos, this is on Hinge. His first photo has his face, but he's like profile, right?
Good.
His second photo is his face of a cartoon. Like someone drew
he's
him.
hiding.
Wait.
He's hiding a lot.
The third photo is him hiking. So he's looking at the view. It's his back. The fourth photo is him canoeing, and someone took it from behind. And the fifth photo is him hiking again, and it's his back. And she's like, honey, you don't know what he looks like. And I was like, oh my God, you're right. There's
So funny.
I have half of a face to go on. That's literally it. And yet I'm meeting him. So I'll keep you posted.
I would love to know the truth. It's also exhausting. But yeah, so good luck. I'm very curious to know how it goes. Is the conversation good?
It's been more consistent than other ones. Like, it's not just like he disappeared after. This is usually what happens. Is like there's like 3-4 volleys and then they disappear, and he's like continued to text me. So that's why I agreed to meet him, honestly, and because he said coffee and not drinks.
Totally.
I'm not sure I'm ready to commit to like drinks in person yet. It's just exhausting. So I'm into like an hour-long coffee, and then I'll get out of there and figure out what I want to do.
I totally get you on that. I honestly, I have a real quick one. I had this guy, what was his name? Ugh, it was something Russian. I forgot what his name was. We'll call him Alexei. His name was Alexei. He was an hour and a half late for our date. Yeah, it was disgusting. It was for coffee. I met him at the place he wanted to go to. And so I sat there, I was reading a book, and he comes up to me and he's like, hi, I'm late. I'm like, I know you're late. And he's like, okay. And I was like, so, that was great. I was like, so what do you do? And he
Cool,
goes,
that we covered that.
dude, like, thank God you already know. I was like, so what do you do, Alexa? He goes, what is this, 24 questions?
Oh shit.
I'm like, but this is a date. I was like,
and we're done. And we're done
well,
here.
we had one more question, and then I've been the most honest I've ever been. He was like, what? He was like, well, what do you do? And I was like, I'm an actor. He goes, original. And I was like, hey, I'm sure someone loves you, but it's not me. I can't stand looking at you another moment. He's like, that's fine. And then we left. It was a 5-minute date.
Applause all around.
Goodbye, everybody. It's not worth your time.
You and I and honestly, probably Jeff too, we get our fair servings of bullshit, especially on the dating apps. But this is the value. You know, and I know when to get the fuck out of there and like
Yes.
what is worth your time. And that is the best position that you can come at this whole dating situation. You know, like you said, you're going to field lots of humans, but you know what you're worth, you know what you're looking for, you know your value, and you're able to suss out immediately what's not okay and move the fuck on. And that's
Absolutely.
honestly the best you could do.
I think it's so important because I think also then you stop resenting people and resenting the situation so much because you're not wasting as much time. If you like sat through a boring date for like 3 hours, or let's say you went home and had really unsatisfying sex with them, which I mean, you do whatever you want, but if it's not good for you, then you start having resentment for the situation. And I feel like you start closing yourself off from opportunities when all it has to be is like 30 minutes of like, oh yeah, I'm kind of attracted to you. Yes, I'd like to go to the next step and see what can happen. And then that's it.
Truly.
That's freaking it.
We have set up a lot of questions for Jeff. We keep talking about him, not letting him speak.
I know, Jeff!
let's let the poor guy in, shall we? Jeff, come on back to the podcast.
Here I am. Yes, I'm still here. Don't worry.
I hope you took notes because we were like, I'd love to hear Jeff's opinion. And then I don't even remember what we were talking about. So
there's a lot of
hit
notes
me.
for sure. Yes.
Hit me. What came up for you? What's your first thing you want to respond to or answer?
The first one that I have is basically the conversation where, you know, when you're asking for a guy to, well, I don't know if it's asking or wanting the guy to start the conversation or when the woman has to take over because the guy is basically giving you a wave emoji or just like, what's up?
Yes.
So there's a lot of things with that, right? Maybe the guy is just insecure. Maybe he just saw your face and never saw what you had on your profile, which is, you're right, it's laziness from their part. Like, whenever I have to go through, I've noticed that too. Anytime that I've said, hey, that's because sometimes, I don't know, maybe I'm somewhat attracted to you, but not really. So it's just it's a barometer of what I'm trying to see. Like, hey, will she respond to hey? You know, that type of thing.
Okay.
If I'm really into you, then I will say something more of within like what I've seen in your profile. If she says she loves pizza and wine or going to the park, I'm be like, all right, what kind of wine are we talking about here? And where's your favorite pizza to get from? So we can have a date in the park. I can attest the fact that sometimes I'm a horrible texter. I'm way boring in text than in person. Like somebody told me actually I'm very formal in written conversation, whether it be email or text messages, because I'm very proper. I used to talk to a lot of high level people, whether it be text or email. So I'm just so used to texting people like in a very formal way. Hey, how are you today? I hope you're having a great day. Versus texting with my friends and be like, what's up?
Oh, what a sociopath. That's
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And then, so how do you personally, not speaking for all men, but speaking for all men here, how do you feel when women initiate the conversation on dating apps?
I mean,
are you
I
into
love
it,
it.
or are you not into it?
I'm
You're
into it. Yeah, like for me, it means that they're interested in having a conversation. I'm very secured enough that I don't have pride or ego, where it shows that a woman is strong enough to take the lead or take the first charge and be like, hey, I love the fact that you took the conversation, and we'll go with it, and then we'll see what happens. I love it.
So it's not a turnoff for you.
No, not at all. I was raised by strong women in my life, so I'm more like I'm attracted to power and all that stuff. That is a taking the bulls by the horn kind of thing.
Right. But do you think there are men out there that are like less turned on by a woman that will make the first move?
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. They're attracted to the fact that, number one, they might be more secure with themselves than the men really. You know, the woman would be more secure with their own body, their own personality, their own mind, than the guy itself. Maybe they're having, so you're going back to that ego thing where the guy is ashamed that they're on the dating app.
So women who know we were talking about this at the end, like women who know their worth and their value and who do not need to, who are not seeking valuation through men, is that readable on an app? Like if I come off as strong and confident and like I don't need to be valuated by a man, he can pick up and I don't know, are there certain men that are like, oh, she doesn't need me, and that's a turn off?
Not on the first conversation, right? Because there are things in a woman's profile, whether it be like, oh no, you can judge a woman's profile, be like, oh no, she might be high maintenance, she loves just hanging out on rooftops, and she might be, into all that, and we're like, oh crap, she might be expensive to go on a date with.
Good point.
I usually take men to Denny's, so I never think about.
Yeah,
I do. I take my men to Denny's.
I love the
I
phrasing
love the
of
Grand
that.
Slam.
You take men to Denny's.
I take men to Denny's. But I can see that.
They don't take you. You take their ass to Denny's, and then
they don't want to go.
They pay.
Don't want to go to Denny's.
You're gonna take me to Denny's, and you're gonna fucking love it, okay?
Okay, we're
I
getting a
would
Grand
love
Slam.
to go to Denny's, actually. It's just
go,
because,
Jeff.
like, $8 Grand Slam breakfast and orange juice? Come on. How can you
And
compete
orange
with that?
That's what I'm saying. Well, it's like a low pressure date that I just happen to love Denny's. But I remembered what I wanted to ask. I know that I'm sure that for a lot of people there's like the ego involved as well. But would you also consider if there's like an aspect of the chase that is very enticing?
Exactly. No, the chase is definitely there. Men want to have a challenge. It's not about the easiness of things, right? Like sometimes, oh, you know what? I want to see where I can take this. And then if the woman just answers right away or the woman takes charge, the guy's just like, oh, where's the fun in this anymore?
Yeah. What else came up for you while we were talking?
Let's see. Oh, the Instagram, like, oh, I don't check this often. Follow me on Instagram. Good God. Or like, yeah.
Do you get that? Do you get that kind of message?
Oh, yeah. If I
you do.
Oh, all the time.
So it's kind of universal. Okay.
Interesting.
Every time I see a girl just like, don't check this often, follow me on Instagram or Snapchat, and be like, swipe left. Sorry, I'm not interested in that. Like, you're just basically looking for a follower. And I will check out your profile, but if it says private, nope, I will swipe left.
Yeah, that makes sense. I have a more intense question for you. So I want to go back to what we were talking about at the beginning of the episode.
Let's do it.
Tati was talking about how her mom told her that she was a virgin before she got married and set up this expectation that Tati should be too. And I'm curious if you ever received that messaging in your life, or if your background or the way you were raised ever like affected specifically your approach to dating.
I'm the complete opposite from Tati, actually. My mom has a weird background where she was working in HR as well as a family planning trainer. It's a sex trainer per se.
Whoa!
Yeah. So I learned about condoms when I was 7 years old. I'm like, ooh, look, balloons.
It's a balloon for your penis, son.
Exactly. And then my mom was like, those are not balloons, Jeff. Those are for to make sure you don't have any kids early on in life. I skipped sex ed in high school because my guidance counselor knew who my mom was. Be like, oh no, Jeff already knows about sex education. He can skip this. Like, she put not balloons, condoms in the lower drawer in the living room, and she's like, remember your ABCs, guys, to me and my brother, and be like, always bring a condom.
Wow.
And we're like,
Bravo, Mom.
yeah. And we're like, number one, we will bring a condom, but we're not going to get it from that drawer. Like, you would know if there are condoms missing from that drawer.
We know you counted that, Mom. Yes,
Exactly. I will
That's
go
very
to to the convenience store across town to make sure that they don't know who I am and that my mom would not go to that particular convenience store.
Do you did you tell your mom or a family member or a friend when you first lost your virginity?
No, I think she just knew.
That's a weird conversation to have. But
Yeah,
if you have a
exactly.
mom who's like a sex educator, maybe you would, but it's still weird.
Did
Yeah,
you not,
no.
Jeanette?
No. Did
Because
you?
I called my mom on the phone. Yeah, I called my mom right after it happened. It was an awful experience. And I was like, Mom, it's really bad. And she was like, that's okay, sweetie. Like, it happens. Like, she was really good about it. That's why I was like, wow, I wonder how abnormal that was to call my mom and be like, I wish it was different.
That's really sweet. I mean, both of you actually have these really wonderful backgrounds and family structure that allowed you to sort of approach dating in a safe way. I mean, Tati's yours was like a little unique, so it's interesting, just like me, how that may have influenced your approach to dating. Was there anything else that your mom said, Jeff, to you that you think, like, looking back, oh, that really influenced how, like, I talk to women, treat women, or approach to dating in general?
Well, she always said that to treat women with respect, right? A no is a no, stop, period,
Yeah.
stop, end of story. That's it. If she's not interested, move on. Like, there's going to be a lot of more women out there, that type of thing. So I always follow that up to this day.
But no standards that she gave you that sort of set you up to make
Not
it harder
really.
to date?
No, not really. Well, at this point, she's just like, I just want a grandchild.
So you're receiving a different kind of pressure. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially
totally.
when my cousins.
You got that female shaming going on too, man.
I mean, guys get that a lot as well. My
Yeah.
cousins are they're having kids now, and they would hang out in my parents' house, and my parents would be, hey, look what I'm holding,
Wow.
a baby.
Okay, Mom.
Yeah.
You were like, you taught me about sexual freedom when I was 7 years old, so
Oh, and then I would joke. Yeah,
don't
exactly.
expect a child anytime soon.
And I'm like, you raised a very independent man. Might be too independent for your own good now, but I also told her, like, hey, Ma, I can always give you a baby. Do you want a made to order, or do you want like the fast food ready to share?
You're like, yeah, I'll make a baby. It does not mean I'm gonna have a partner.
Yeah.
You guys, it's been so fun talking to you today about your dating lives and all of the things that are wrong with the world. So thank you for making me feel better about my single life. No, truly, I love having these conversations because I love connecting with other people. And the more we can have these open conversations of like, hey, I'm struggling too, I think then we can all have a little more mental peace and awareness around dating. It's a process for all of us. So thank you both for being here and being vulnerable with me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Very
And now
fun.
Now you guys are friends.
Hi, Jeff.
Exactly. Hi, Tati.
Yay.
If I'm in LA, we're going to Denny's just because
Yes!
we
We're
got the
getting
Grand
grand
breakfast.
slams, Jeff. I get some orange juice. You got
Yes. Let's not forget a large orange juice. Yes.
I can't wait for this to happen. Reunion at Jenny's. Awesome. Thank you guys so much for listening to this podcast episode. I hope you liked it. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something from it. If you have a friend who doesn't subscribe to #single, what's wrong with them? Send this podcast episode their way. See if you can make someone's day a little bit brighter. As always, we are having the most fun conversations over on Instagram at #singlepod. I hope you'll join us there. And I hope you'll join us again in 2 weeks for my next guest episode for #single. We will catch you next time.